Hey,
Hi,
how you doing?
good. How are you?
Very good. Well, it looks like you got good sound and good quality, so
Yeah,
I don't think we're going to have to do a test. So we're already live.
my other phone just broke.
Oh, you're doing it on the phone?
I had a spare phone. Yeah, the phone I was gonna talk to you on just broke.
Yeah, this is what I got.
Chaos, chaos.
See my phone?
Yeah,
Double tap to
Well,
activate.
you can't do
Double
anything
tap
with
and hold
that.
to long press.
I know. That's how I like it. That's how I like it. I don't want to do anything with it.
Ringer vibrate.
I want to do two things with it. I want to make a phone call and I want to answer a phone call.
Gotcha.
That's all I want to do with my phone. So hey everybody, my name is Port Cunningham, and I'm here with my distinguished, honorable co-host, the world's handsomest man, the guru of love, Frank Oliver Baines.
Hey, everybody in Dreamland.
And this is the Pork and Beans Show, and our special guest today is Tina B. Thomas, and we're really happy to welcome her.
Thank you.
How you doing today?
Pretty good. A little nervous.
Oh no, don't be. Well, I'm going to go on a rant that'll make you feel. You'll either leave the show or it'll make you feel comfortable. I don't know. I got to go on a little bit of a rant here.
All right, go for it.
Let me just
A rant.
see where it is, and I don't know where you stand on things, but I don't know. Okay, so anyway, my wife, there's a radio show in Seattle. This guy, kind of like, which guys are considered to be the radicals, the right wings, or which guys are the conspiracy theory guys now? Beans, is it the right wing or the left wing? Right wing, right?
Right, I
Yeah.
think.
Okay.
Depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about dressing your kids up as little gay clowns, then that's left. And if you dress your kid up as a little military guy and give him a pellet gun when he's 6 years old, then that's right.
Okay. Well, I think this is right. So anyway, there's a popular radio show in Seattle, Washington that my wife listens to very frequently. It's called the Dory something show, Dory Munson, I think. And he was ranting about these radio commercials that they're playing on the radio now. And what they're doing is they're targeting kids. And what they're saying is, don't you want to be normal? Get the vaccination so you are normal and you will have friends. You know what? That pisses me right off.
Oh yeah, but they've been doing
This
that.
is
They've been doing that for years, man. Walt Disney, and everybody that targets kids. The shocking thing is how they give the kids, guilt out the parents, and they try to target the kids for the experimental experiment they got going on here.
experiment.
Experimental experiment.
Yeah, if we don't say the word, then maybe we won't get booted. But yeah, it's just like that pisses me off, man. I'm telling you, people, it's time to get your fucking head out of the sand. Could be an
Before we
Oscar.
had any of this grand pandemics business, we had this thing. We had this thing called what is SIDS? Infant death syndrome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you imagine that? You want to be normal. You want to have friends. What up? Sorry, we swear once in a while on this show. You don't have to, and we apologize.
That was going on a long time, and now we got SADS, right? We went from SIDS to SADS.
Yeah.
SAD is sudden adult death syndrome.
Yeah. Has anyone noticed how? I don't look at the news because the news is like propaganda station. I haven't watched it in decades. But as soon as you go on the internet and you get your Google News or whatever, or the news feeds or whatever, anybody noticing all these 25, 32, all these young people that just dropping dead all of a sudden, and they're not really saying why they are? Anybody get
Mostly men.
what?
Mostly men.
Mm,
Yeah, mostly men and newscasters.
yeah, we had 5 young doctors in 1 week drop dead in Ontario. And then the
Anyway, listen, we
and then they
can't
said,
go too deep onto this, or you're going to get banned on Facebook because conspiracy theories is a crime. They're trying to make conspiracy theories a crime. Can you
well,
believe that? That's what they got that guy. What's his name? When we were talking about earlier, the Tom Jones or whatever his name was.
no, that's one of our guests, Tom Jones.
Oh.
That's the guy that gets the underwear thrown at him all the time. Ladies' panties. You know who that is, don't you, Tina?
Yeah,
Tom
but
Jones?
who's that guy that's
Jones?
in court now? They're trying to for the Sandy Hook conspiracy theory.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones, right? Tom Jones, Alex Jones, same thing. They're trying to make conspiracy theories a crime.
Well, yeah, because it goes against the narrative.
So that means if you say if you say there's a conspiracy, and the World Health, or I think the World Economic Forum says that, there's going to be a war on conspiracy theories.
Well, just like our Trudung up here.
Trudung.
Trudung. He's trying to get censorship in the media and whatever. I mean, it's all about controlling the media and the agenda.
That's because these guys are so vile that if any truth gets out, it just shows you how bad they are. Everybody knows how bad they are.
Well, you notice before they put out the kids thing, I won't say the word. They were trying to promote the kids to get that wonderful
The experimental offering.
Right. Just before that came out, they were plastering all over buses and billboards and all over. It's normal for kids to have heart attacks and strokes too. Just before they were about to, to make it
They
seem
say
like
now if you take
a
a cold shower, you're going to get a heart attack. They're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. But I don't know, 65% of the people in the world probably believe them already, because they're already, Yeah. I just talked to a guy yesterday who's got his 4th jab, and he's proud of it. He got this year's update.
Yeah. My one of my good friends, one of my best friends, his father, perfectly healthy. Now he's got blood clots in his heart, and he's dying. And his mother and stepfather are both seriously ill. And guess what they did? And he's been trying to talk to them for years about this stuff. And he's a conspiracy theorist, because that's how people who are talking truth and going against this stuff are portrayed. We're a bunch of nuts. Trudung called us misogynists, terrorists, conspiracy theorists, all kinds of crap. Anyway,
massage therapists. That's what they call us, massage therapists.
Massage therapist. Anyway, I apologize to the audience for talking about this, but because we are Sasquatch and
the whole damn thing's a cult. It's all made up. It's just a cult. It's the same thing as a cult mentality. You can't dress this way, you can't say that, and if you believe this, you're going to go to hell, or you're going to get stoned or excommunicated, and it's just cult mentality. That's what it is. We have a very sick culture. Culture is sick.
Well, yeah, it's been going on since the beginning of time. Even like religions or whatever are about fear and control.
They used to take smart, intelligent women who would knew about growing herbs and knew about healing, and then they would drag them to the middle of the town, and draw and quarter them, or burn them alive, or drown them in the stream, drown them in the river. And they did this for 400 years. And since there's, the way news travels. And every time that happened, it would go out to all the communities and that, in Spain or Italy or whatever it is. 400 years they've been killing women because they're too intelligent or too spiritual or whatever. And here's a fun thing that I didn't know about until just recently. They would take the kids of the women and send them to the Vatican to save them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I saw a really.
So you're talking about child trafficking that went on for 400 years before America even became America.
But by the way, I apologize for swearing, but I saw a really interesting T-shirt the other day. I thought was funny, and I am going to swear, so I apologize. But this guy going through the grocery store he had a T-shirt on. He said, "Fun fact: I don't give a fuck." Fun fact.
That's the best thing we can do is just ignore them. You got to know what's going on and ignore them because life is way, way better than the box they're trying to stuff us in.
My wife gets mad at me when I swear on here, by the way. So I'm going to go see her after the show, so I'll probably be in trouble. But so Tina, do you want to get in trouble too? You want to say anything on this before we get on to the real important stuff and not the ridiculous stuff?
I couldn't hear anything y'all just said. What did you just say?
I said, did you want to, before we get into the your story, did you want to add anything to what we're saying, or do you want to get in trouble with the rest of us? Or?
Well, I'm just down for the conspiracy of ascending together and mastering our environment with Christ consciousness together. And let's focus on that conspiracy. The other conspiracies, freak me out. Scares the crap out of me about it.
You know what? And we all know better, because the main thing is that we really should not be putting our energy into this. But it's kind of hard when you see them attacking kids, like really, we're supposed to rise above it, not because buying into that is actually supporting them. It's all about fear. So I do realize that, and I like that you said that, because that's absolutely true.
Yeah, well, they know what they're doing. They have advanced technology, and they're creating blueprints for our reality. And now that we're waking up to the power of our words and what we focus on, we can create a different blueprint, and that's threatening to them. It's very threatening to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we can do it.
Yes, we're doing it.
That's what we're talking about, team inside out. If you can hold the image of the way you want it to be, then it becomes that way. And if their reality is not part of the way you want it to be, it won't be.
Yeah. Heaven on earth. I mean, I was just the other day riding through the woods. I've been going there for a year, and I never ever noticed this large area of land covered with steel pipes, like just trash, just dumped there in the woods. And I'm like, how did I not see this? I've been coming here for a year. I was shocked. But I mean, this is where we're going, where we won't even see this stuff anymore. I think we're going to be on the same planet, but in a different realm altogether. Yeah.
So I guess the best thing we could tell people is to get your head out of the sand, but also don't put too much of your emotions into it. Be aware, but because when you do, then you're just lowering your vibration with everybody else, and it's just a big quagmire of hate and confusion and nonsense.
Yeah, it's like the news and politics has been weaponized against us. Yeah, and it's being used to drive us to hate one another.
Yeah. Well, that's what the Sasquatch are all about.
To hate your neighbor is a virtue now.
Yeah. Yeah, there's all kinds of good reasons.
It's a good behavior to narc on people now.
Yeah.
Political correctness. You think on everybody who did something 30 years ago that wasn't politically correct, even though at the time it was like people. It's just ridiculous.
I heard that the Sasquatch people are really excited just this week because they hinted around. This is kind of like, I'm not supposed to say this, but it has to do with the star nations showing up, and they're going to see more ships in the sky. And I'm thinking, that's the team inside out. These star people have been around our atmosphere our whole life, our whole entire life. None of us here has not heard about from the time we're kids. Okay. And what they've been doing is just them being in our atmosphere, they've been really slowly raising our vibration, and they've been seen by people in drive-in movies. They've been seen in over prisons. There's at least 100 reports of them coming and hanging out over schools, and all this. To me, they're just really slowly raising our vibration. The same thing goes for the near-death experience people. There's been millions, actually, over a couple of million people since the 1960s that have had near-death experience in the hospital or someplace, and they come back and they're so blissed out, and then they say, "I saw God," and then they write their books and stuff, and that's bringing up the vibration of the people,
Yeah.
And that's what we need to focus on. We need to focus on the people who are doing that, bringing up the vibration. And the Pork and Bean show is like really good on showing people that you can be friends, interspecies communication, interspecies friendship. That's what's coming, because a lot of those guys who are want to land on Earth and set up shop, they're not going to look like us. They're not going to be us.
By the way, that's a good point, Bean, what you're talking about, the near-death experiences, because I remember that list I wrote about when I had my love zap.
Yeah.
I wrote 33, well, and there's more. I could come up with more, but about 33 similarities between my experience. I didn't die. It was just like downloaded this, and the near-death experiencers, like having abilities, knowing, love, no division, no judgment, all that kind of stuff. Very, very similar kind of thing.
And if you take the people who've been on craft, or who have been on craft a lot, they're the same kind of stuff. Maybe not 30 of them, but there's the same kind of stuff of their energy gets upgraded, their consciousness gets expanded, they tune in more spiritually, they're tuned into nature and stuff. So and then they're more at peace with themselves just from hanging out inside a spacecraft. So there's a lot of that going on out there. And the thing is, it's not happening in mass. It's happening person to person to person. And this is what Tina is here for. It's like, this just started happening to her with Sonny Boy, and although her whole life has been coming to this point of being in their heart and getting an awakening and really locking in what you do want instead of what you don't want, and then lo and behold, I guess it was like this year or last year, you sort of met Sonny Boy, right?
On Father's Day this year.
Why don't you take us right back to the beginning, though, of your life and what you've gone through, and maybe other experiences that you think might have been leading you up to this. Just give us a synopsis of your life, and then we'll get into Sonny Boy and all that beautiful stuff, because you really seem to have a good grasp on things. Just with the things you were saying, you're right on page with everything I've learned. So
yeah, it's strange because I really didn't know anything about all this until this happened, and then I started reaching out to find out what other people's experience of Bigfoot was, and I was blown away because I really didn't know anything about it. But I was born with a malformed esophagus, which causes a severe form of sleep apnea. And so my whole life I've had what I would call like near-death experiences when I go to sleep at night. And also I go live whole other lifetimes during, like, even since I was a little kid. I'll go to sleep and then all of a sudden I'm somewhere else and I live a lifetime. And then I come back here as Tina. And I know like some people call this reincarnation or something, but not like for me, I'm alive all the time wherever I go.
you're talking about when you fall asleep at night, you're going to these different realities of your, or different stages of your own soul growth, or I mean your own Carnates, whatever they call it.
Incarnations, yeah. I'm going and experiencing them. And then like when I was little, I had Native American ones, and I was confused because like I was a man, and like I died in a fierce battle, and like we were all fighting naked, and I got a tomahawk to the middle of my back, and I woke up, just screaming in pain from that. And
Wow.
I didn't realize that I was a girl until I was about 7 years old. Because I've got warrior energy.
So tell us, just okay, feed our
Well,
curiosity.
that's like parallel lives. There's people who say that they're conscious of that they're living on planet Earth, and they've seen themselves on a spaceship, and at the same time they know that there's this part of themselves living on this other planet, and they're all simultaneous different realities. And then there's other people who say that they live parallel lives, that they're in another timeline where they can remember another timeline, but it's simultaneous to now. So that whole thing is not crazy. There's people who are having that kind of an experience.
Well, let me tell you what my Sasquatch teachers, because I kind of got a whole family that teaches me, but RE's the head of it. A lot of my lessons are about time. There's only the now. There is no past, and there is no future. That's all in the now. So that enables them to teach you lessons, and they'll know something that you're going to think of or come up with years and years before you do. And then you look back at documented pictures or something, and you see that kind of thing. So that proved it to me right there. But my point on this is that RE said to me and to another lady who was in contact with him recently, he said the same thing. He said, I know all my incarnations, everything I've ever been right now, because there is only the now for them. They don't have a past and a future.
Yeah.
In that sense.
But their now is not limited to, whatever it is, August 6th.
Yeah, linear time is, you're right. Linear time is a 3D thing. It's our reality as humans, but it's not the reality when you cross over in NDEs. That's another thing that is on that list of 33 things, or it's not the Sasquatch's reality. So that's really interesting. So tell us some of your interesting experiences as far as some of the lives and what you were doing. If it's not too personal.
Oh no, it's not personal. Let's see, like one of them, I was a frontiers woman here in the West. And
wow.
The Native Americans came, they were like raiding, and my horse the horse bucked, and we fell over backwards into a pond. And I remember seeing all the lily pads just flying everywhere, and then coming back to cover us, and like we were just stuck down there, and that was the end of that. My favorite one was being a Native American, and the white men had killed our brother. We had the technology to resurrect him. Like, we knew how to do this. And so we had to steal the body back from them. And once we did that, we were in some kind of like a hogan. And he was like laid out, and sounds weird, but we were going to drink some blood. I think we were going to drink his blood. And then we started hearing gunshots and people screaming, and I jumped up, and my brothers and we ran out, and we're like running up this like grassy hill, and I see them leaving their body and flying up into the sky. And then right as they're doing that, they're shot in the back. And so we were all leaving our bodies before we were ever shot. And as we're going into the sky, there's something in the atmosphere, and it's a real thing, and it's covering the whole earth. And we were going into it, and it's a pattern. like a blanket, like an Indian blanket pattern. And we were all going in there and like we were weaving it with with this experience. What, I don't know, that sounds weird, but that's one of my favorite. My least favorite, I went to a life where I was at a pyramid and I was an initiate and I was going to be initiated, and I was sealed into a tomb and like complete sensory deprivation. And I was aware of myself as Tina, like in this experience. So I was just wondering, like, I couldn't remember how I got here, like making this agreement or whatever. But I knew I had made the agreement, and I was like frightened going into it, but I wasn't going against my will.
Do you think, sorry, did you have more to say on that?
Well, I mean, I was sealed in there for 1,000 years, and
Whoa.
my mind broke and snapped and broke and snapped, and I went through every manner of insanity, and I felt every moment of that 1,000 years in that black, just nothingness. And when I woke up from that, I was paralyzed from the legs down, and I had trauma seizures for 6 months after that. I was an invalid, and I was 35, and I had a stroke. And the trauma seizures were painful, and I remember at some point just thinking, what happens if I just surrender and go with this? Just go with each jerk of the muscle, and pretty soon I just started flowing with these seizures to the point that they were giving me extreme pleasure. And my friend, she's a hypnotherapist in Monterey, California, she wanted me to come stay with her so she could take care of me. And when she saw me doing this, she said, "Oh, honey, people pay money to learn how to do this. It's called unwinding." But like all of my dark experiences, they're extreme, but they have silver linings like that. Like I can go into that, I can get on the ground and just start unwinding like that. It's like a yawn that goes through every muscle of your being, and it's an extreme. It's like getting a massage from the inside out, and it can be very sensual.
Do you think that the fact that you were aware of that you were Tina when you were encased in that crypt speaks to what we're talking about, like they're aware of all our incarnations, and you know, is that how you feel on that?
Yeah, we're not all here doing the same thing. Like, you know, some people will have a near-death experience and go to heaven and see Jesus. I was very religious when I started having mine, you know, and I grew up in religion. So, and nothing I ever saw matched that. But not all of us are here to master this lifetime like the masters, like Buddha and Yahweh or Yeshua. I can't remember all the names of these masters, but there's a lot of them. And
Muhammad, is the Muhammad one?
yeah, a lot of them. I mean, we're not any different than them. And some of us are here to master our lifetime, right? Like, and those who are here to master it are aware of all of their other incarnations.
Yeah.
I think that's why there's such a vast difference between some of these near-death experiences. That like some, you know, lady, I remember watching hers, and she was like, just became super like into the Bible and dressing a certain way, and it's like that's the level at where she's at. You know, she's not here to be the Christ. She's here to like be obedient and follow. And then some of us are here to be the Christ.
Well, you know, I also think that we create our own reality. That's why
Yeah.
you were saying, and rightfully so, that don't buy into the fear or whatever. And I know that because, you know, we can rise above that. But I think that some of these near-death experiences are so different for some people is because they go where they expect to go, or where they you know, where their creativity takes them, kind of thing. I think, although in some cases, I've also heard that people who are extremely religious will have an experience that doesn't gel with that at all. So it's not cut and dry, but I think there's parts of both of that to it. So when you had so you also had near-death experiences in your sleep, you were saying. So did you go to the other side and stuff, or was it more just about your incarnations?
No, I would go, like, sometimes I would just leave my body and fly around. But like when I was 4 years old, I was sitting on a swing set eating like a little chocolate jello pudding with those little plastic red spoons. Remember those?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started choking on it, and I fell backwards, and I hit a rock with the back of my head. And when I came back from that, I knew like I had been dead. And like when I looked next to me, there's a pile of vomit and the spoon, and I'm like, oh, I'm back. And that's when I became a rebel. Like I went to church, and like during there was like this choir performance that they were putting on for the whole church, like everybody's there. And during this choir performance, I went up to the very front of the church and started pulling these imaginary snot balls and lobbing them at everybody.
Oh, jeez. At 4 years old?
Yeah. I got in so much trouble. I just, and my mom told me, she said, don't stare at the sun, you'll go blind. And because I guess I had been doing that, and but it made me just want to do it more, because I didn't want to see her. I didn't want to see this reality. I wasn't happy with the way the world looked to me. I was in a really bad environment and a very abusive family. So but when I was 15 years old, my boyfriend, I know everybody has heard of the Emerald Triangle who smokes marijuana, but this is where I was living. I grew up in Mendocino, and the Ukiah Wildcats were the first ones to grow Granddaddy Perps, and that was actually grown by my boyfriend's older brother. And they were all known as the Fry Guys at high school, and they had everything from ecstasy, LSD, marijuana, other things. And my boyfriend was like, he was afraid that they were going to get in trouble. So he asked me to hold on to a sheet of gels. And gels is like, it's a different kind of LSD. It's very pure. It doesn't have strychnine. And they actually look like little gels. And so I accidentally like washed my jeans with that in my pocket. And when I discovered it, I was like, oh crap. So I took what was left, ate it, cut the pocket out of my jeans, and was sucking on it. And as soon as I got to school, the police were there, and I was arrested. And it's a good thing I didn't have that acid on me, because I would have that would have been 5-year sentence right there. But so as soon as they arrested me and took me to the sheriff's station, all of a sudden, all of that reality was gone, completely gone. And I was in a snow cave, and there was a very tall being there, and I kind of thought he looked like a polar bear. And but he was on 2 feet, and his face looked human. And yeah.
Wait a minute. So just let me grab that point before. So how old were you? You were in high school.
I was 15, yeah.
Okay, so that tells me that the Sasquatch or the Yeti or whatever were already with you and communicating with you that early.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
undeniably. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. So go ahead.
So it felt like they were expecting me, and it felt like they loved me, like they were communicating with me telepathically. I could understand that I was there and it was okay. And they were, I wasn't afraid of them. Like I knew I was supposed to be there and everything was fine. They were expecting me. And so this wasn't like, you know, when you take LSD, you usually have a trip where you progressively, things just get weird. That didn't happen. I didn't feel it. I didn't feel different or anything. It's just like 1 minute I was in the sheriff department, the next I was in the snow cave, and I stayed there for 4 days. And I have no memory of what happened in those 4 days in this reality. I just know I was there with them in their reality in that snow cave. Now, I never thought about this again. I didn't grow up with television. I saw very, very little TV. I didn't know what a Yeti was or a Bigfoot or any of that. And so I just really didn't know what to make of that. I just filed it away, didn't think about it again until this happened, where 2 months ago I saw the little Bigfoot. And he was guiding me to remember that and telling me, remember when this happened. And right after that happened, I was living in a group home, and our group home summer vacation was going to Mount Shasta, which wasn't very far from where we lived in Mendocino. And so when we got to the top of Mount Shasta, there's a meadow up there, and we're camping up there, and I got smudged in and sent on a vision quest. And during this vision quest, this very tall man, he was probably about 30 years old with long blonde dreadlocks, and he had 2 young women with him that were about my age or maybe a little older. And they approached me and he asked me if I wanted to go with him. And I did want to go with him. Like I knew, like, if I went with them, this really, really hard life could be over. You know, it's the biggest regret of my life. Like, but I said I can't. I have to stay here. And I went back to camp, and the counselor, Susan, had a tubal pregnancy rupture, like right there. She started dying in front of us. And it took all of the counselors, all of the adults, to carry her off the mountain, which was like, I don't know. I thought it was like a 3-hour hike when we made it. So I think they had to hike 3 hours, you know, carrying her down. And so we didn't know what was wrong with her. And we were left up there, about 7 girls, for 3 days. And so earlier in my life, from age 7 to 9, this man came into my life and taught me wilderness survival. He taught me botany and like which plants to eat and which bodies of water are safe to drink and stuff like that. So when we were up there, like, these girls, they're not the camping kind of girls anyways. So it was like, it was nice that I knew what I was doing, and I could act like I knew what I was doing, and I could like let them know like it's okay and drink this water. And I went foraging for onions, wild onions, and made onion soup and stuff like that. And at some point in time, we decided we were going to wash each other's hair. And during this time of us washing each other's hair, it just started to feel like, I don't know, like a spiritual experience. It was so kind of, it's hard to explain, but it started to feel like really sacred and holy what we were doing. And I started thinking about how I had been, you know, abused growing up in this religion, and I had been acting out as a teenager sexually, and I had a lot of shame and guilt about that. And I just started thinking, what if I marry everything? What if I give my heart to everything here, then no matter who I love or who I touch or who touches me, like nobody can point their finger at me and call it a sin, because I'm going to just be in love with everything and married to everything.
Wow.
And yeah.
Who was this?
So,
Holy moly.
Yeah. Go ahead. I had a question for you, but go ahead.
oh no, go ahead. I'm done. I'm good.
Who do you think this guy? Who do you think this tall blonde guy was with the two ladies? Was he just a regular person?
No, no. I think that he was going to take me, like later in life. I found out that there's like portals or gates or something, and one lady actually described going into a cave and finding herself in another world in the center of the earth.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shasta, right. How tall was this guy? Just a tall person, or like 7'8"? Was he like huge?
Yeah, he was really tall. Maybe 6 or 7 feet tall, because I'm short. I'm 5'5". So
But within
yeah,
human range.
yeah. And I saw him again when I was about 30. I saw him come sit on the side of my bed. Like I had laid down to take a nap, and he sat down on the side of my bed. And I was like, oh my God, who's this guy? Like, is he here to hurt me? And he kind of like peeked out of the corner of his eye at me, but he wasn't like turning around and looking at me. And it was like he was waiting for me to get over my fear before I could get up. And I did. I get up and I went with him into my closet. Sounds weird, but all of a sudden we were in a tunnel, and we were traveling through different points of time. We went, the first place we went was like into a deep body of water. And I was scared. I thought, oh, this shit's about to go sideways. Like I didn't want to be under the water. But as soon as we came up, there was a, those dinosaurs that hang out in the water and eat the moss or whatever. The long neck ones.
Plesiosaurus.
Yeah. And like when we came out of the water, I was like face to face with this thing, and it stopped eating and it just looked at me in shock. And like now, from where I'm at now, most likely that was another incarnation of myself that I went to visit, because I went and visited other places in time of this like incarnation. I actually came and visited this time that we're in right now. And I saw my grandchildren, and this was when my kids were little. And I knew that they were brown skinned. I have Native American grandchildren from the Pueblo Nation. And then there was a point in time that was way further where I was, back in Utah, and everything was reduced to, it looked like sifted sand. Everything was just sand out there. And there was a civilization there. And I don't know how far in the future that was, but so I saw him again, and I was under the impression his name is Francis. And he dressed like a beach bum. Like he was wearing saggy bottom Bermuda shorts and a t-shirt, nothing holy.
Did he ever talk to you, or did you? What did you feel from him? Love or what?
No,
What do you think?
Just complete neutrality. Well, I had been suffering from sleep paralysis, and it terrified me. And a lot of times it would be like I would see like black widows and stuff all over in my room, scared the crap out of me. And so finally it occurred to me, like, what would, it couldn't go any more sideways if I just relaxed and tried to enjoy it and pretend it's a good time. You know what I mean? So I thought, the next time this happens, the next time I experience this feeling of sleep paralysis where I can't move, then I'm just going to relax and go with it. And that's what happened when Francis came. It was like, I was just laying down for a nap and I probably dozed off and went into it, because that's usually when it happened. And that's why I didn't like taking naps, but I was exhausted and just needed a nap. So, yeah, but I know that's what it was. And I just relax. If I feel that feeling coming, like I'm paralyzed and can't move, I try to relax into it and not be afraid, because nothing's really going to happen.
That sounds very much like what you were talking about when you're in the crypt. You
Mhm.
just relaxed and went with it, right? So it sounds
Yeah.
like something you've learned over your incarnations to do. So when you were going through your abuse as a child, with the church and whatever, like you said, did you also do that kind of thing? You just blocked it out, relaxed, went with it kind of thing, and didn't let it affect you? Is same kind of thing or what?
Yeah, one of the last times that I was attacked was, my adoptive father took me out. He took me out into the desert and was driving really like radically and fast. And I was about 12 years old. And he told me to open the car door. And I knew he was going to kill me. I just knew it, because he had tried before. And I wouldn't do it. And he started, and so I held on, and in between punching me in the face, he was reaching across me and opening the door so he could shove me out of the car. And so a voice just said, just hold on. So I reached up and grabbed on to this, the grip handle above the door. And I didn't feel any pain. I felt complete peace and calmness. And I didn't feel any more fear. I didn't feel any of it. And it was just like, just hold on. And that was the last time that he got me. Right after that, he told me that the next time I felt like trying to tell on him, this was what was going to happen to me. And so I kept telling. I never ever would go along with what he and my mom were doing to us. And I did tell. And he did go to prison, and he wasn't there for very long. It was like a couple of years. And he got excommunicated from the church and all that. But as soon as he got out of prison, the church took him back and my mom took him back. And the first time that we were left alone, he made good on his promise and he tried to throw me through a window. And I didn't feel that either. I bounced off the window. It didn't break. And as soon as I hit the floor, it was like all of a sudden I had like a gecko body. That's the only way I can explain it, because I was able to like run on all fours really fast across this wooden floor to the front door. The front door happened to be open, and this is in Redwood Valley, California, right across from where one of the Jim Jones temples was in the Redwood Forest. And as soon as I ran out there, there was a wall of fog, and it swallowed me up, and I was able to get away, and basically became a chronic runaway. And I lived on the Russian River there, and just lived off of berries. And I only went home if I got, or if they caught me. So
Do you think these things were an ability that you had, or do you think you were being guides and stuff were helping you?
Both. Because what they're telling me, what they're teaching me now, because I've had some very supernatural interventions, life-saving interventions in my life. And I used to be like thinking it's something outside of myself, and Bigfoot's been teaching me, no, you are a supernatural, multi-dimensional being with superpowers. You've just been dumbed down, and you can't even conceive of the kind of power you have. Like, really. And a lot of this stuff that happened to me, I was always thinking, oh God, angels, something outside of me was doing it. And the Bigfoot's like, no, God's in you.
Yeah.
God is in you. All that power is in you. The power that created all the galaxies and the universes, it's in you.
Beautiful. That's exactly what I've been taught too. So, oh, I've got my point. Sorry.
I have something I'd like to add to that. Is this there's an American Indian saying that goes, "You can tell how powerful a warrior is by his enemies." If you're a warrior and you just have one enemy or two people that don't like you, but if you have a whole nation that doesn't like you, or is afraid of you, or wants to kill you, and I look at human beings who have huge amounts of adversity, and they're almost always ferocious warriors. They're people who survival and they remain they untempered, unalloyed. They're not changed by the heat, and
Yeah.
it's like it's, a lot of people do fold from, it's just so horrible. They fold and it crushes them. But then there's other people
Yeah.
who come through it, and like you said, you have this. When you said, "I wanted to marry everything and feel love for everything," and from what I've talked to you about, you have that. You still to this day have that quality. That you have the ability now, which this is like a yogic thing or something. You have this ability to be in your heart and express from your heart and it be real for you. And that sounds simple, but to see people living that, oh my God, that's very rare in this world.
Yeah. So I know what my point was now. So obviously, when the Sasquatch guy was telling you about that you have the ability, he's actually talking about we all have that within us. We all have God, and we're all part of the whole kind of thing. So we all have that ability. Right. That's correct, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And it's just the awakening to it it's a perfect process, and it takes however long it takes, and we're not supposed to judge others because they're taking longer, or forget our own divinity watching people
Yeah.
who are miles ahead of us. You know what I mean? And I did that for a little bit when these Bigfoot people started teaching me. I was like, who am I? I'm
Yeah.
not good enough for these people.
Yeah, that's why my little rant at the beginning, even though it makes you feel good and you blow off some steam and it really is counterproductive in the sense that it just lowers our vibrations or whatever, and we buy into that energy. So it's really, I do know better. So I actually do know better. But I like what you said about wanting to be married to everything, because that's another one of, the Sasquatch teach that we are all one, and that the tiniest plant, the ant, the birds, everything is all part of creation. So we can't judge it. Man is all about judging and putting himself on a level and separating himself from other things. We're not separate. We're all part of everything.
Yeah.
So when you said at that very early age of 15, right, that you wanted to be married to everything, that's basically saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's really, really amazing and beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All this stuff, I forgot about it, and this was during a time where, I was raised LDS, and all the kids who committed suicide in my high school were LDS. And
What is LDS again? I'm sorry.
They're Mormons, Latter-day Saints.
Okay. What do you think of that? Is that a cult? What do you think of that religion?
Oh yeah. And it's not just, two holy books and all the programming in there. It's like our God was like the prophet and all of the men, because they have the power of God, the priesthood, and they're the only ones who know the truth here. And you have to listen to them. And if you try to follow your own intuition or your own heart or your own conscience, you're going against that, and this is how they were able to, be pedophiles and abuse us the way they were, and they believe in spiritual polygamy. So I was treated as the spiritual wife of my adoptive father. And even to the point that my high school counselor was my bishop. And that way he was able to get campus security at the high school. He got two of them assigned to just follow me around all day, every day, to make sure I didn't run away. Like, they were doing everything to force me to stay in this home where I was routinely beaten and tortured and sexually abused and neglected in every way possible. I mean, when I was 12, I had gangrene right here in my finger. And I remember smelling it, thinking, this is what the animal on the side of the road smells like. There's something wrong. And I got a razor blade and started cutting it out of my finger. Like, stuff like that. I didn't know what gangrene was, but now as an adult looking back at it, I'm thinking, life just wants to live in me. And it did, everything I did was to preserve my own life in these circumstances. But also, going through all of that programmed me to abuse myself, to hate myself, to find others to abuse me. So I'm 50 years old now. I've been on this healing path for 20 years, and it's a process.
Is that why you were being abused and your stepfather was attacking you because you weren't going along with the doctrine and the beliefs? And
no, he just enjoyed. He was a psychopath and a pedophile. He just enjoyed it, and my mom was that way too. Like, one of my earliest memories with her was between where we lived in Palmdale, California, and Los Angeles. There's this windy road with a lake, and she was driving. And all of a sudden, she just stopped driving and she threw herself down on the floorboard. And my brother, and I was like 4 or 5, my brother, who's 3 or 4 years older, he started screaming at her, "Mom, no, don't do this. Mom, please drive, please drive." And she wouldn't drive. And so this is in the 70s. So he jumps up from the back seat and starts steering the car. So, I mean, she was crazy. There was something wrong with her. She was, one of the memories I have when I was 6 years old, she was making a strange noise in the middle of the night, woke me up. I went to her room, and when I'm standing in the doorway, and I'm like, I could see her face down in her bed. I could see the back of her nightgown. So it was her. And she was like panting. She was like breathing really, really fast. And I was like, "Mom?" And when she turned over to look at me, she was a reptile. She was a reptile with, she was black with scales, like scaly skin. And she had red glowing eyes. And I knew that, like, she's evil. There's something about her. Scared the crap out of me. The only person who I had to count on to take care of me and give me comfort in this world was terrifying me. I was terrified of her.
Is your stepfather and mother still alive today?
Stepfather died of cancer, and my mom is still alive, living in Utah.
And is she still the same person? Has she changed at all?
Oh no, she's still the same. Yeah.
So what do you think of the reptile thing? Sorry, Beans. You're up next. What do you think of the reptile thing? Was that just you reacting to her evil, or do you actually think she was possessed by reptilian or something?
Yeah, I thought as an adult, I mean, I'm thinking about it as an adult, like, it's a possibility that she was possessed by some demonic thing. It's possible that she's a different species of bipedal. And the thing is, when my daughter was a teenager, she told me, "Mom, it looked like you shapeshift." And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you know, like the Native Americans that shapeshift, you look like that. Like it looked like you had snake skin for a minute. And
So you did.
I asked, yeah, she said that about me. And so like, I actually had heard about the reptilian race on the Coast to Coast AM show with Art Bell. And the guy talking about it was a shaman named Red Elk. And he was like living in Oregon, and he gave out his address. Like if you wanted to contact him and go visit him, you could write to him, but he like lives in the woods in Oregon. So I wrote him a letter, and he wrote me back and said, you can come visit me, but I already know what you're going to ask me. And you're going to ask if you are a half-breed, and you're a half-breed.
Wow.
So, and I still don't know what that means. I don't understand all the, I've tried really hard not to delve too deep into any of the, anything. Like I've not tried to like go learn about reptilians and all those conspiracies and all that, because it scares the crap out of me. So I really haven't delved too deep in it.
When I was living in Miami, I had some friends on Miami Beach. Miami Beach is a big place where in the wintertime, it's a lot of models go there because the modeling agencies, when they want to take pictures of girls, they take them, they go to Miami. But anyway, I was at a friend of mine, an old girlfriend of mine's apartment, and they were having like a little party, and there's like maybe a dozen people there. It wasn't a very big deal. And then sort of at the end, you know, we had a good time, and everybody sort of gave everybody a hug. And this one model, she was really sweet, actually a very sweet person. And she was a girlfriend of one of my friends. And I gave her a hug. And when I gave her a hug, I realized that I was hugging this reptile. And I could completely feel it. And there was still love there, you know, but it was, I could feel through her energy field that she was a reptile. So that, you know, and I think that there's a lot about that been going on. You know, that if a reptile comes into your mother, right, and your mother's half reptile, half human, and then she has, you know, a relationship with a human, then that would make you a quarter reptile. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's something very simple like that, where even though you're actually 100% human genetically, your energy pattern is reptile. And I think that's the people who can shapeshift into a wolf, is because some animals can incarnate as humans. So if their first incarnation is a human, then they can go back and forth to an animal. So I don't know if any of that's true, but I'm just saying there's a lot of stories about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the Sasquatch can actually shapeshift into anything they want, but that's the same kind of thing. It's different.
That's a different deal.
It is different, yeah.
Than your soul. Our bodies are shaped out of an image. There's one of our bodies. We have like these 5 or 6 bodies, right? But one of our energy bodies is the pattern of our creation, and that pattern can evolve, you know. But
yeah, that's just a mastery of energy. Just focusing their energy and going into any form.
Well, there's another example too of I think, I forget, it was Heart Math Institute or somebody like that. They did an experiment where they took a tadpole. There was going to be a little frog tadpole, and then they took an adult salamander, right? And what they did is they took a laser beam scanner that would scan the salamander's body, and then project a 3D image of that salamander's body onto the tadpole. And as the tadpole grew, it grew into a salamander. That's what I mean by image. We are light beings first, and whatever is in that light, whatever is recorded in that light, you know, that's the pattern that your body can build from.
Oh my God, that's amazing. So it was supposed to be a frog and it turned into a salamander?
Yeah.
That's crazy revealing.
Yeah, well, their probably genetics is really, really close, and it's only their energy body that's different, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing with the Sasquatch is different. But
But
it's
there's a
still,
thing in the Sasquatch, but the ET people can do that too. They can show you, they can transform into a clown, or they can transform into a grandmother or a saint or a holy person, or
yeah. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, and I know some people don't believe it, obviously, but I've seen Sasquatch in human form, and I'm 100% positive that I have. And as ravens and as owls and as different things. So they definitely have that ability. But then so did some of the First Nation shaman or whatever, didn't they? They were shapeshifters and whatever too.
yeah. You know, the thing that one of the things you said, Tina, was about was about. Did you say it was Sunny Boy that told you this thing about we humans have superpowers, but we just can't
Yeah.
we can't conceive of how much superpower we have.
Yeah.
And,
The
and
power is just there.
Of
I
course.
think that's one of the big. I think that's one of the big truths. That's one of the big things that they're trying to teach people. You're like they taught me how to go invisible with heart light meditation. And it takes a lot of energy to do it. In reality, a lot, and you have to want it to the point of life and death. Like if you're a drowning person and you want the next breath, that's the level of intensity you have to get to make yourself go invisible or something. But we have these abilities. We can't really understand Sasquatch or the Star Nations, or even a true shaman, uh, until we can index that inside of ourselves, find it inside of ourselves that that's real.
Yeah.
Like this guy Preston Dennett talked about people who could levitate, and when he heard, he was investigating the UFO phenomena, and that people get carried out of their bed, they levitate up through the ceiling, or the ETs come through the wall and they kind of levitate across the ground. And he was like wondering about that, and he started doing some research because that's what he does. He got 30 books, so does a lot of research. So he started researching, and he found that there's children have been reported to levitate. Like babies in their cribs and up to 3 or 4 years old have been levitating. Then he looked back, and there's this thing about flying nuns. There's like 4 or 5 stories of flying nuns, and then there's monks who have been able to levitate, and then there's these people who do seances. And at one point, in back in the whatever it is, the early 20th century, everybody was doing seances. You'd have a party, and everybody get around, and they'd have their seance. And from that, hundreds of different people all over the United States doing seances. A few of them could do phenomenal things, and there was a couple of people who could levitate. They'd do the seance, and this guy would levitate, and then they could all feel him and kind of look at him and stuff. And there was another guy who could levitate. I'm not trying to sell anything. All I'm saying is our abilities. And this is what the Illuminati, the evil, the elite in name only people want to keep from us, And it goes back to that thing about the American Indians saying that your enemies is tells you who you are. If the powers that be, the Catholic Church and the governments of Spain and Italy and Portugal, decided that witches were bad because they were doing paranormal things, right? And they had a campaign on this for 400 years, trying to stomp out the paranormal. That's what it took to stomp at the paranormal. So even now, like in your church or somebody else's church, if you do something paranormal, oh no, that's the devil, it's the demons, right? And they try to beat the living bejesus out of you because they don't want that. They don't want people knowing that you can see God, or you can go invisible, or you can heal people. They don't want any of that stuff because that just breaks the whole thing. It's Lord kind of crap to deny humans magical experiences, so that the shamans that we have living among us, the healers that we have living among us, are afraid to come forward.
Yes.
Yeah. Sonny Boy was telling you like a very, very serious truth. God, and we're supposed to work from within. instead of
Yeah.
like giving the responsibility to some invisible deity out there. I mean, that's kind of like sloughing it off and say, well, whatever, you're taking care of me. When we're not doing our own work,
Yeah.
the work has to be done from inside. That's what Sonny Boy is telling you, obviously, right? And that's,
Yeah.
I don't know about all religions, and I'm not picking on any, well, I don't know, I'm not a religious scholar, but I mean, Christianity, for instance, is all about outside of yourself, an invisible deity or whatever, and obey him or you go to hell, and all this fear-based crap. It's I don't want to ruffle too many feathers, but it's control, man. And I'm not saying Jesus wasn't a real guy and that he's a powerful entity and whatever. And I think that his message has been bastardized. He wasn't saying any of that. As a matter of fact, I'm not a religious scholar, like I said, but I believe that he said God is within all of us.
Yeah.
Or you have the same power, you have the same abilities, and I'm getting energy. Sasquatch are just hitting me up with energy now. When I talk truth, they give me a big zing.
Yep.
What Jesus said has been distorted. The kingdom of God is within all of us, and he also said, you can do what I do and greater things. So it really is like Sonny Boy said, and like my Sasquatch people have said, and like Frank Oliver Beans knows, and it's an inside job.
It is. Yeah. And it's make-believe. Like, what's the most amazing thing you can imagine yourself being and doing, and then pretend that's the truth? Because it is. And it wasn't just Sonny Boy. It was, right before I met Sonny Boy, I had my last, like, most profound near-death experience. And Sonny Boy has helped me to accept the experience, because it was really challenging to accept, what happened. But when I first came back from it, all I could remember was passing through a bright light and then going down into a corridor where it was pitch black, except everybody who was ever created was there, and they were represented by light forms and like geometric designs that almost look like Aztec or Incan anyways. But after doing hypnotherapy and working on memory recall, like more memories of what happened when I passed through that bright light was a big city, and everybody was there, and there was something put in here. It's an instrument. It's a heart harp. That doesn't make sense, but they put an instrument here, and everybody was sending me love, and it was playing right here. And my arms were outstretched and my feet were down, and it was like the Jesus on the cross kind of pose. And my understanding of it was that I am the only begotten daughter of God. And this was like my homecoming, because I came here with this intention to master this lifetime, and I did. And it was like a parade. It was like everybody was there celebrating it. And it's not that I'm the only begotten daughter of God. It's that I'm the one who recognized that I was, and it entered my mind to do this in this lifetime.
Well, I think we're all sons and daughters of God. We're all part of God.
Not me.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
I had this
And
experience.
it's because your handsome looks and your ego.
Well, I'll tell you the story. I'll tell you the story behind that. I used to do Kriya Yoga, right? And my last formal Kriya Yoga meditation was in 1990, and I was underneath this mango tree. And right out the front of my kitchen, there was a mango tree. I just sat there and basically just took a nap. And as I was going in and out, I wasn't really meditating at all. I didn't care, because I did it for like 13, 14 years. And so it was like at the end of my enthusiasm for meditation. And so I was with my eyes closed, and the whole top of my head opened up, and there was a universe there. And I'm going, well, that's interesting. A whole universe inside my head. That's cool. And then, so I was looking around, and I said, this doesn't look like the universe that I see at night. And I said, I wonder what that's all about. And then this voice said, oh, this is your universe. And we want to ask you if you want to be the God of this universe. And I said, okay, that's a really strange request. That's a strange request from the human resources of the universe, recruiting me to be recruiting me to say what's the matter with the last God you had if you got to ask me to be the God of the universe, right? And so I politely I said, well, I don't know, I don't think I'm ready for that kind of a deal. It just seemed too fishy. But what the damn thing did was the universe didn't go away. It took it 6 goddamn weeks for that damn universe to go away. And then I was a cabinet maker. I'd be operating this like 10 horsepower table saw, I'm sitting here looking at this piece of plywood being cut in the top of my head, it's like, and I go talk to my boss about something I got to do, and I'm looking at him, and from here up, there's an infinite universe, and it made me walk around. It's funny, yeah. And it made me walk around, and I started to joke about it to myself, and because it was a bother. I mean, when you're driving a car, and the top of you got a universe on top of your head, and but what it made me do is it made me walk in God's shoes. So what I would say is, I must be God Michael, right? And to me, God Michael was God sitting in me, right? So that's God Michael. And then I say, well, but I'm also Michael God, meaning that I was all God just with the name of Michael. So I was like, oh, I'm God Michael, I'm Michael God, I'm God Michael, I'm Michael God. I did that for, and then I did that for the whole 6 weeks until it finally went away. But that actually changed my life because that was like a kind of a breaking of the God barrier. We have, like we were saying, you have this God out there, or God over here, or the idea of God, and there's a barrier there.
Yeah.
And in fact, in reality, there is no barrier. You can be any part of God, or you can be totally God, or you can be the firstborn child of God, or you can be any kind of God you want. That's why I joke around. And when I understood that, then I said, well, if I'm God, that means I own everything in the universe. And if I own everything in the universe, then everything in the universe is mine, women and money. And since that time, I haven't really had a trouble with money because all the money is mine and I let everybody use it. I keep my money in the banks, let the banks do whatever they want to do with it. You see what I'm saying? It's just a change, a shift in understanding. I do not worry about money. You know what I mean? I'm on Social Security, and yeah, I can't go out and buy champagne or anything, but but I don't worry about money because that's like so petty.
Yeah. And now after that 6 weeks, the universe went out into another guy and said, hey, do you want to be the God of the universe?
I still can see that guy. I can still see that universe once in a while because I still do that heart-light meditation, and every once in a while, the darkness inside our head is darkness, but at some point, if it's clear, it's actually the inside of our head is actually the universe itself is stars.
So
That's a good question. Is there? Some people believe in multi-universes, like there's an infinite number of universes. Well, and then if that's true, then it's a possibility. I'll put it out there that that this is all God school, and we're learning how to not do it right, and how to do it right here on Earth, so that we can go out and create our own universe and be the God of our own universe. And what would it take to do that? Well, what a guide for your own life to say, if I was the God of this universe, what would I do?
you'd probably get rid of me on the show, number one.
No, no, I'll let you go. You get a pass.
Hey, I just wanted to ask you, Tina, so we want to get into the Sunny Boy thing. So how long do you have with us today?
Oh, I'm good. But I want to talk more about this universe thing because
Okay, yeah.
what happened the other night when I was doing the heart light meditation, I actually felt something open up in my solar plexus, right? Like I physically felt this open up, and I physically felt hands going in there and
Woo,
taking
woo.
something out. And whatever it was, like they just kind of like let it slide down the side of me and it landed on the bed next to me. I felt it. And then it began this hole or whatever. It's like a tornado, and the smaller part goes to the back of me, the bigger part is coming out and it's fully open, and it's like spinning in this direction, right? And I realized the whole universe is in my it's coming out of me there. Okay, so it's the whole universe, and the Bigfoot people are telling me you are always pregnant with the infinite possibilities of the universe. And then I became of the universe up, aware of the universe up here, and it's spinning around, and about here they intersect with each other, like they're, and then somewhere in here is where I'm in a physical body, and there's this spiritual universe, which is it's a different universe than the physical universe. There's two universes, different, and they intersect here where we are in our body, where our third eye or whatever is, like right here, they intersect. So and when we could see that, there's some kind of power in that, like.
So you're doing the heart light meditation?
Well, yeah.
See,
I
I
think
guess I,
you think you had some pretty powerful experiences with that, but to go back to that thing about the tornado, is the way my words came is because I do a lot of heart light meditation. I also do a lot of belly work or whatever. But when you get in there and you can start having images coming from the inside out like that, there's the image that comes to my head is like an hourglass, and we're up here at the top of the hourglass, and the sand's going down to this little point. And then
Yeah.
when you go through that point, you go out, that's where you go out into another universe. So we're up here in this universe, in our normal universe, but you can go
Yeah.
down into this one point kind of a thing, and then it opens up to another. So it's like very much like either two tornadoes or an hourglass. And
That's exactly what it is. And the one of my other initiations that I went to in another lifetime was it was an advanced civilization, and it was this swimming pool carved out of marble, and the swimming pool like went out to the ocean. But over here, like on the far side of the pool, there's an underwater labyrinth, and it's in pitch black. And I knew that like that's what I was there to do. So and I was excited. So I start swimming into this labyrinth, and I get halfway through, and I realize I'm out of breath, and there's no way to get back, and I know I'm going to die. And I start jerking. My body's jerking because of lack of oxygen, and this funnel comes down, and it's light, and it comes down, and it goes right through the top of my head and put air into my lungs. And so that's that universe up here coming down into here. Like we are a portal to channel God manifesting in our universe out here. Like this breath came, and like I've had other experiences where this breath has come to me like in broad daylight in the middle of the day, and I didn't need to breathe for about 15 minutes.
wow,
I had no need, and I was just in complete peaceful calmness. But yeah,
that's a really high yogic state to not have to need to breathe, because that means you shifted over to the life force energy for a little while. Looks like she got a glitch in the matrix. Oh, I can't hear Brian.
I'm back. I
Sorry,
can hear you, but I can't see you.
I'll see if I can give you permission to ask to start video. Is that gonna, you see something pop up?
No, it just says recording live.
Oh, wonder why your video.
Turn it to your, I don't know, get glitched out, but go down to the bottom right-hand corner of your, bottom left-hand corner of your Zoom window and see if you can click on stop video or start video.
Is there an X over your stop video thing? Yeah.
Yeah. Now her mic's gone too. She might be gone. Oh, she is gone.
Oh no, can you hear me?
Yeah.
How are you talking when your mic's off? That is bizarre.
I'm telling you, my phone broke right before I came on this show. So there's a
We're in the
Because your
twilight zone.
microphone's muted. You shouldn't even be, we shouldn't even be able to hear you. There you are.
Oh, the microphone's back on. Oh, there's your camera's back on too for some reason. I think it's just an internet connection. That's what it is.
I don't see her.
No, but the camera's on. You don't see her.
Oh, right.
I
Okay.
can still hear you guys.
There we go. Now we see you.
Okay, good.
High strangeness on the Pork and Bean Show.
Yeah. Did you want to talk any more about the universe before we get into Sunny Boy or something? Oh, there she is again.
Still here.
What's going on with that?
It keeps like blinking out and then it comes back on and then it blinks out and it comes back on.
Well, we're pulling down a lot of energy. I tell you what.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going on?
Yeah. Well, we can just keep going. We'll keep going till we can't.
As long as we can, well, I don't know about that.
When you talk about that vortex, when you talk about that vortex, that's like core truths kind of stuff. The vortex of life, the vortex of reality that goes from our belly or from our heart or from our third eye. We've got three of them. You know, you got a heart, you got a mind brain, a heart brain, and a belly brain, and they're vortexes of reality coming.
I think they say man has another brain too.
Mhm.
In particular.
And woman, yeah.
But that's not a subject for this show. Yeah, weird that she's oh. See, that's why I say a good old fashioned laptop and a flip phone are the only way to go.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm absolutely thrilled to be having this show. She's really she's getting a lot of truths given to her.
When I've talked to her a couple of times on Facebook, you know, and I saw that she was really a heart spirit, and I thought,
Definitely.
you know, that her friend Sunny Boy was talking to her, and she had this really hard childhood. I thought, well, you know, I should teach her. I should show her the heart light meditation that the Sasquatch taught me. And so like the first night she did it, she got all blasted and everything, you know. So she really connected hard with it. So I don't know if she's going to do it for the rest of her life, but it's just interesting that the people who have that heart connection, you know, they respond differently.
Except for me.
Well,
Can you guys still hear me?
you're having fun with your mind. So as long as you're having fun with your mind, that's fun too. So you know,
No, I don't.
there's no judgment on that.
I guess.
Well, I mean,
Maybe I can't shut my mind off.
You enjoy nature, you enjoy your life, you enjoy the Sasquatch people, and that's kind of where you're at. You may not have been as crushed as bad as me and Tina.
No. True enough. Now your camera looks all distorted or something.
No, she's just from a different angle. Another part of the room or something.
Ah,
Oh, there it is.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes?
yeah.
Oh, my internet got disconnected. So
Is it connected now?
yeah, I still can't see y'all, but finally it stopped turning off. Yeah, sorry about that.
Maybe we're talking too much truth here. Somebody's messing with it.
Now I can see you. There you are. Well, I can see you, Brian.
Well, that's all that matters.
That's right. That's all that matters.
It's all about me, right?
That's right.
Well, why don't we start talking about Sonny Boy a little bit, and just in case we have some more weird stuff going on, we can get that part.
Right.
So, when did you meet Sonny Boy, and walk us through your experiences with? Although I'm sure they're, because I know from my own experiences, like the first, how long? It's been about a year for you.
No, I met Sonny Boy on Father's Day, 2022.
So when is that? February?
That was like May.
Okay, yeah, but they're very intense in the first little bit. I mean, so I'm sure you've had a lot of amazing experiences.
And you just to let everybody know, you go out in the woods almost every day on a bicycle ride or a walk or with the grandkids. So you're out there every day anyway.
Yeah. Especially since that last near-death experience, I couldn't tolerate being indoors, and it's like 100-degree weather here, but it doesn't bother me. So on Father's Day, I went right before sunset, and there was like nobody. There was like one other car in the parking lot. There's nobody in this park. And so my dad and I had a very close bond over bike riding and sharing near-death experience books and baseball. So, and he passed away in 2009, and he's never said any, and I'm very in tune with people who've crossed over. I could still hear him and talk with them. And but he never talked to me, never said anything. He would sit at the end of my bed and watch these near-death experience podcasts with me. But that's it. So he shows up, on Father's Day.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. He's watching near-death experiences with you, and he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, he just sits at the end of my bed and
never communicated with you.
Never communicated with me until this Father's Day, and I was like, oh wow, you're here, and it's like my mountain bike turned into a tandem bike, and he's like sitting there right behind me, and he says, yeah, you're gonna be surprised who else shows up in these woods tonight. Whoa. And I was like, cool, because I've never had any connection to my family, like really, like when they pass over, there's no connection, and here in life there's no love bond or connection with my family. It's bizarre. So I just thought that was the reason why he wasn't communicating with me. But shortly after that, I wrecked my bike, and I had been wrecking my bike in these woods, and I'd been experiencing something like vertigo. And even when I'm walking, sometimes all of a sudden I just cannot stand up. I have to get down low to the earth and just sit there for a while till it passes. It's very strange. But so I
like
wrecked my bike.
Dizziness, you mean?
Yeah.
I've had that too, till just recently. I wonder if there's something going on there. Anyway,
yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, some areas is more than others, and there's actually part of the trail that I will get off my bike and not even ride through there because I've wrecked too many times. I'm like, no more.
Clarify this then. So is this vertigo only happening when you're in the woods, or is it like anywhere?
No, it's just in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's different now. Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm riding slow so I don't wreck again. And within 10 feet of me on the left side of the trail, I see this little Bigfoot. And it looks like my size. I'm 5'5". And immediately I'm aware that it's a male and that he's young. And as I'm passing it, I turn to look at the back of him, and he looks like it looks like the tree opened up and was like swallowing him, or he was trying to like become part of the tree or make it look like he was part of the tree, like camouflage himself or something. And it looked like watery or glassy or like mirrors or something. It was really weird. And I wasn't ever interested in seeing a Bigfoot, and I really didn't know anything about him when this happened. And I wasn't happy about seeing it, really. Like, I was scared. And so I'm just like pedaling my butt off to get out of these woods. And I didn't go back there. This was like Sunday, and I didn't go back to those woods till Thursday because I didn't want to be in those woods alone again. And like Thursdays, they have guided rides where you can ride with a group of people, because you can get lost in these woods on some of these trails. And so I went back Thursday night at sunset, and was at an intersection where all these trails kind of come together, and I was drinking water, and I heard someone going on the trail adjacent to me. So I looked up, and there he was walking, and he walked for about 30 feet before he disappeared again. And I was like, what? You know, cool. Like, I wasn't expecting to see him again. And so then I just started riding my bike again, and on a different trail, and I noticed this clear, glassy looking line come down over the top of me and around me. And I'm just like, what is going on, you know? And I hear this voice say, I'm protecting you. And right after that, this young man on a mountain bike comes plowing up behind me really fast. So I go to the left of the trail so he can pass me. At the same time, he's going left to pass me. And I'm aware for about 3 or 4 seconds that he and I are occupying the same space at the same time. And we haven't collided, we haven't crashed. And he says to me, don't worry about it, it's okay. The kid on the bike, like, he's like, don't worry about it, everything's okay. And I'm like, what? You know, like, what is going on here? You know?
The kid who was riding the bike said that?
The kid, yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, he's like
That's
14
bizarre.
or he's like 14 or 15 years old, and he was with his dad. His dad was further back on the trail because this kid was hauling ass. So it was really weird. And so I started thinking, like years before this happened, the animal kingdom made contact with me telepathically in a strange way. And so I started wondering if this Bigfoot could communicate with me like they did, because he's out here in the woods, he's a wild animal. This is what I'm thinking. And so when I went back to those woods, I started talking to him. And the first thing he started communicating with me about was, thank you for your prayers. We feel your prayers. Everything here feels your prayers. And so basically for like the past year, whenever I ride my bike, I do the Hawaiian prayer, the Ho'oponopono prayer. And so every time I was in these woods, I was doing this prayer. And each time I was in there, I would channel like new ways to say the prayer. So it was more inclusive, to where I was like including God and religion and the devil and everything good, everything bad, bodies of water, trees, everything I was including in this Ho'opono prayer. So I wasn't just doing it for me and my enemy or someone who had hurt me so I could forgive them. I was doing it for everything in existence. And then I started talking to the higher selves of everything in existence and asking everything in existence to join me in these prayers for everything in existence. And so yeah, this is what Sonny Boy was talking to me about. And the reason why I call him Sonny Boy, and he told me this right off the bat, he said that an incarnation of me is his mother. I am Sonny's mother.
Oh, so you've been a Sasquatch before?
I'm a Sasquatch right now. I'm Sonny's mother. An incarnation of me right now is his mother.
Isn't that interesting? I've been told similar kind of stuff.
That's a little bit of a brain stretch, but then again, there's stories out there, like I said, when you can have three different people, the same person, three different bodies, in three different locations.
Or the no time thing, and every incarnation is going on simultaneously.
Yeah.
So I mean, it could be that too, because I've been told the same thing, that I've been a Sasquatch many times. So is this all this communication like classic mind speak, like he's talking in your head?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're his mother, and his mother is his mother.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm in my Yeti body, because she's a Yeti. She is his mother. So an incarnation of me is his mother. And an incarnation of him is my son.
Wow, beautiful.
And the thing about my son,
So you're saying he told you that your son, your physical human son, is an incarnation of him.
yeah.
Well, that brings the idea of an enmeshed family group. You know what I mean? When they say you're enmeshed,
Yeah.
that's wild stuff. But I kind of can feel that. I mean, but you know, when the Sasquatch people are living in this unity consciousness, and they say, "We are you, we
Yeah.
are you," you know, and that we're one. I think they live in that reality, so they see the connection to everything. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you see something?
Yeah.
Do you see something in your son that resonates that as being
Oh.
true? Your human son?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he's just like me as far as like the paranormal has followed him his whole life. And he has, I can't say what he does, but for a living, but he has an extremely dangerous job. And he was going to do water rescue. And I remember like just praying, and it had just occurred to me, I had just learned about the fairy realm and nature spirits and stuff like that. So I started talking to them, like I was praying to them, and I was asking them to please, be with my son. And so my son called me after this water rescue mission, and he said, "Mom, you're not going to believe it. This giant sea turtle swam with me the whole time. I wasn't even scared." He's like, "I thought I was going to be terrified because just learning to do this kind of water rescue involves being drowned over and over and over again by your instructor." So he was already terrified of, and then to go do this out in the ocean. And he said when he and his crew were done, they went and sat up on the dock, and this dolphin came and did a show for them, like a celebratory, and another time, this was Christmas, I think a year ago. Anyways, he called me and he says, "Mama, you don't be mad." And I'm like, "Oh, Tyler, what did you do?" And he said they had jumped from a plane at 1,200 feet. And when his main parachute didn't work, it got twisted. He pulled his emergency parachute, which twisted around the other parachute. And this had killed one of their crew like just a week before. And so he said, "Mama, I just I just saw my life pass before my eyes. And then when the ground came, I landed and I walked and I breathed, and it wasn't over, and I don't know how. And like he said, the whole crew came up and was hugging him, and they were crying because they saw this happen. And he didn't have any shattered bones, no shattered teeth, nothing. Like he was 100%. This is where we like command ourselves to live. Like we can do that. Like this power is in him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know very many people who can jump out 1,200 feet in the air and land and walk and breathe. Like, you know, but this is really how we were made. This is who we really are. This is
So once again, you attribute it to him, or do you think he had some help?
Both. Yeah, definitely. You know, because I do talk to them. I have for years since he got into this line of work that he does. So one night I woke up. He would not sleep in his own room, and it's for good reason. One of these nights he woke me up because he would sleep on the floor next to my bed, and floating just above him was this marsupial looking alien creature. And my son was like fighting it. He was like squirming and crying and, you know, no. And so telepathically, I started communicating with this thing. And I said, what are you doing? You cannot take him. That's my son. And this being was like, oh, okay. You know, like, and he's like, I needed him for my army, but I won't take him because you don't want me to take him. And then he left. It was really weird. But when I go to sleep at night,
Yeah, but
like
that was a teaching. I tell you, that's something that human beings need to know, and that's why you're talking about it now.
oh yeah,
To resist that kind of a thing, to resist the aliens, or to resist the bad guys and say no. That's a
yeah,
teaching.
yeah, and also the fact that he respected me, he respected my wishes for that. You know, when I told him no, like he said, okay, you know. So, oh gosh, I can't remember what I was going to talk about next.
Well, let's get into Sonny Boy again. So Sonny Boy begins connecting with you through MindSpeak.
Yeah.
So how did that progress?
Well, his first teaching was just basically how we have disconnected. One of the ways we've disconnected ourselves from the earth and from God is our like embalming process, and how we encase our bodies in sealed tight waterproof boxes and then put it in the earth. And it's like, this is a slap in the face of creation, because these bodies are made from the earth and they're made from the dust, and we're not returning the bodies back. And it's affecting the bodies that are continuing to be made. It's affecting our DNA. It's affecting the information and the energy that the earth absorbs from receiving these bodies back that she created for us to inhabit. And then he starts talking to me about, he shows me this picture of, imagine everything that is the earth just disappears. All the dirt, the water, the people, everything disappears, and there's nothing but trees and roots. And he's showing me this vision of this ball of roots and how it's an information system. And he says all roots connect all roots. And when we give our bodies back to the earth, the information of our experience here goes into these roots. and these are like the halls of knowledge and information and stuff like that. And he's telling me this is why there's a mass genocide against trees for millennia of time, like that, like, and he tells me there used to be enormous giant trees that we used to live in, and talking about like the cannabis plant, how it's not a weed, it's a tree, and how tall it could grow, and the kind of light that it puts off into the atmosphere, and the etheric like hair, and like how these powers that be, these dark ones here, when they go and conquer indigenous people, the first thing they do is cut their hair. It's very important for them to do that. And just teaching me all this.
So this was your Sasquatch new friends, Sonny Boy, who's telling you all this. I just want to make it clear, because if somebody's just tuning in, so this is a long teaching, a wide overview of the nature of reality and the nature of the Mother Earth, and he's kind of tuning you into what's going on.
Yeah, and just starts suggesting to me that, you know, this was what that the master Jesus was like speaking out against. Like, he was a political activist against the money changers in the temple and the money changers in the funeral business, and how basically it's illegal to give your body back to the earth, to its creator. It is against the law to return the body back to what it was created out of. And there's like no accident. It's not an accident. It's on purpose.
So are you telling me, are you saying that we have to be buried literally instead of cremated?
No, he's just saying that for thousands of years, this is what we're doing. We're not giving our body back to the earth.
And describe what he means by that. So what do you mean by giving your body back to the earth for everybody?
When he showed me, like,
She already did. She put
I'm not
a sealed coffin.
I'm not
being in a sealed coffin and embalmed. That's what she started it off with. Being embalmed so your body doesn't rot, and being in a sealed coffin so there's no connection between you and the earth. That's how she started it.
I know, but I just asked her. So, but I said, well then, no, but there's a little bit of a contradiction here, because I said, so if you get cremated, that's not your body to the earth?
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't think it is. It doesn't feel like it is, because what he was showing me was the decomposition process, and the bugs and the mushrooms and everything that is feeding off the body and absorbing the information. It's vital to the I guess like the Hall of Records of the earth or something. Like, this information is stored so that we can evolve and progress from it, and we haven't been progressing and evolving past shit. Like, most of us haven't evolved at all.
Well, I don't know if this is by design or whatever, but do you realize how expensive it is to be buried now? Most people can't be buried because of space and because of expense, right?
Yeah.
And I got to admit, I'm probably this sounds weird, but I am extremely claustrophobic, and I don't even want to be encased in something when I'm dead.
Yeah.
Even for some reason, it just terrifies me to be. Yeah, I can't even go through like an MRI kind of scan thing or whatever it is. So
yeah.
I don't know. Now I feel bad. Now what am I going to do? Because I don't want to be in the ground.
Just have them sew you up with a blanket and stick you in a tree.
There you go. I mean, there's options. There's definitely options. And there,
Well,
I mean,
I
there
could
you
do that.
Make some friends with somebody who's got a property, and just have it kind of written in your will, and you give the guy $500, and when you die, they'll just go stick you in a tree and a little tie you on there with rope and.
What are you going to do? Are you going to be cremated or are you going in the ground there, Beans?
I haven't really thought about it, to tell you the truth. I'm working on being immortal, but you know how that works. A lot of people want to be immortal, and then they find out, oops.
So in other words, when you die, just whatever they decide.
No, I'm never going to die. Never going to die.
Well, not in the soul sense, but the
Well,
Mr. Frank Oliver Beans body might die.
I like the idea of pouring the ashes into the ocean kind of thing.
Yeah, that might be another way. That might be okay too. Although when you said like the knowledge of the worms, sounds kind of gross, but eating it, I mean, that kind of makes sense. So I don't know. You better ask Sonny Boy if there's a compromise.
Sonny Boy's idea is an invention. I don't know if this exists or not. And he's like, how about an industrial-sized dehydrator? You can dehydrate the human body, grind it up into powder that you could spread out over the ocean,
Is Sonny Boy in contact with you right now? Do you feel him listening in?
Oh yeah, he's always with me. That's one of the things that he's been proving to me this week. Yeah.
Very similar to me too. Yeah. Especially when I'm talking about stuff about them or whatever, I always feel their presence. So yeah, they are always with us.
Yeah.
So that's very good to hear that.
Yeah, we're plugged in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, now you got me thinking about that. Maybe I will go up in a tree.
So Sonny Boy's a mama's boy.
Mm-hmm.
He's got two mamas.
Sonny Boy.
That's actually very, very sweet. I'm just making a joke of it, but that's really sweet.
It is. Yeah. And I was just like, I never could have dreamed this up. Nope, I never could have.
So is Sonny Boy a fan of the Pork and Beans show? That's what we got to
Yeah.
Hey, Mom,
Yeah.
Mom, go on the Pork and Beans show.
Mama, go on the Pork and Beans show. Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that nice rock.
Yeah. He gave me this rock, and so he was helping me guess what this object is in a remote viewing contest on the Jeff Mara podcast show.
That looks like a regular rock, Beans. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Not a regular rock. What do you mean a regular rock? Look at this rock. This rock has got style.
What's in the middle of it?
I know it's it's stuff.
This rock has got style.
This looks like like an eagle's head. No, that's just a piece of slate.
Yeah, okay. I got three, like a little family of rocks. This is one of them. Actually, if you see it, it looks like a Sasquatch, but that looks like a rock you throw on somebody's head or something. I'm teasing you, of course.
And we pulled you way off topic already. Go back.
Well.
Oh, so there was a remote viewing contest on the Jeff Mara the Saturday Night Live show. And I've tried to guess it, and I've never been able to guess it. And so an image of this rock came in my mind. So I thought, diamond shape. That was my first guess. And my second guess was see-through glass. And it ended up being a magnifying glass. And I think why they showed me the picture of the diamond rock was to let me know it was them making the guess, and the guess is something clear glass. And I mean, they got it right. They are plugged in to the collective consciousness, like in an intimate way, very connected.
It's entirely possible that every Sasquatch in the entire world knows that we're talking right now. If that's entirely possible, put that on the table, and anybody else who does a podcast or talks about them, that the entire race of Sasquatch people all over the world can know that they're being talked about and who's good, who's bad, and what's going on.
They're all connected telepathically. For sure, the ones we're connected to for sure are listening, but what Beans is saying could very possibly be true.
Put it on the table. Very possibly that's true.
It is.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm inviting all of our higher selves in all moments to watch the show today.
Well, I mean, I think that's pretty obvious too. I think, yeah,
Yeah,
say that's probably true.
yeah,
Matter of fact, I would say it has to be true in some ways.
yeah. It is true. I invited them.
Well, then it must be true.
Must
So
be true.
what are some of the see, my Sasquatch teachers have taught me like core truths and a bunch of other stuff, but what has Sonny Boy been teaching you?
Well, mostly that, and just to become open to finding out what the true reality is. And so like 6 years ago, I had a very traumatic experience that I escaped with my life from. And I immediately ran to Christianity, the Bible, and church. And I understood when I did that, I gave myself permission to go there because I needed that kind of comfort. After having gone through what I went through, I was terrified. And I understood that my belief systems are fluid and that at any point in time this could change, and that's fine. But still, when you're in that paradigm, you are worried about going to hell and all the things that go with it. So when Sonny Boy was teaching me higher truths, it was kind of terrifying letting go of the false reality and the counterfeit God that religion created. And so basically just waking me up to how God is in every cell, in everything that I am. God is expressing.
Yes, of course.
You know?
That's
It's a
how
really,
it is.
really cool thing to break that God barrier. It's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. It's
Well,
just
like we were talking about, you're looking at an outside deity to take care of your problems and not taking responsibility for it in many ways. Where the responsibility and the God is within us.
Yes.
And so yeah. And the other thing is with a lot of religion, everything that we learn new, and religions have a box of beliefs, and it's sacrilege, and you get damned and all this stuff. If you go outside of that box of beliefs, suddenly you're a witch, or you're blasphemous, all this stuff. But all the true learning that we experience and involvement as a soul is when you consider these things outside of your box of beliefs, and then you find out that they're true, and then you grow from that, right? So I don't want to criticize religion, but it really is it's a box. That's not exactly how I want to say it, but yeah,
and we pay for it. We pay for it with money. It's a big box store.
Yeah, the Sasquatch people told me circles, which is, the circle is all about connection, and boxes. There's a couple of the words and thoughts that they put in my head into different things, like, and the body, our body is like the entire universe is contained within our body.
Yeah.
It reacts the same kind of way. And that means, like, for instance, if you hurt something in your body, your physical body, it affects everything else in your body. It's the same thing with the universe. If you put out bad intentions or bad thoughts, the body of the universe is affected in some way. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, big, deep thoughts, and they're masterful teachers. It's incredible. Masterful.
Yeah, he started explaining the part of the reason I was so sensitive and was getting so dizzy and crashing my bike in the woods is my body. I haven't been treating her well, and I was pushing myself to just to get to those woods. Well, in the midst of all this happening, I had a flesh-eating infection, a brown recluse spider bite on my leg that took just took me down. But then at the same time that happened, a filling fell out of my tooth and got infected, and my whole mouth was just so. And I wasn't taking as good care of my body and resting as much as I needed to recover from this enormous event, these events happening in my body. Also going through this, before I knew there was Bigfoot there, I was already aware that something was teaching me in those woods. That's why I was so desperate to get to the woods every day. I was feeling enlightened every time
Right.
I went in there.
And
I was
yeah,
Mhm.
and they've been working with you for a long time because you had that Yeti dream in the cave,
Yeah.
or vision, or whatever, however you want to say it, or altered reality. So, it makes sense that they've been with you throughout your entire life and beyond.
Yeah, they are my soul clan, my spirit clan.
Me too. Yeah, I totally
Yeah.
understand that. So,
It was teaching me that just because I'm in an advanced consciousness doesn't make me any better than this physical body. And I get to treat her with respect and honor her feelings and take good care of her and give her the rest and the care she deserves. Respect from me, not neglect and pushing her just to do what I wanted her to do, which was my attitude toward the body. Was like, I want this, and this. Go make it happen. And it's just been a lifetime like that. When I was working, I was a workaholic. I would work 60, 80-hour weeks. And so
wow.
no matter what, yeah, I used to make a lot of money. So yeah, all that got taken away so I could come to this moment and be taught and be humble.
And you're much better in this moment than the money didn't get you anything other than false security that you thought you were secure because of the lies of money is about control too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just too good at it. I always had money from a young age. Very entrepreneurial. I can't pronounce that word.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I got in when eBay first started up, and I was one of the first people. I was making $60,000 a month doing it.
What were you selling on eBay?
Damaged freight auctions, bankruptcy auctions, government surplus auctions, university surplus auctions.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, just so.
Yeah, I could see how that could be lucrative. I used to sell just old hockey cards on eBay, and I enjoyed it, but
it's fun.
It was a lot. Yeah, it was fun. The most fun thing is I found that when I had my hockey cards on there, it was the last 10 seconds, because people would put the bids would go up like exponentially, in the last minute at 15, whatever, because people would bid at the last second. I'd always be keyed onto it. Yes, and then
yeah.
It's
You're
almost
sitting there watching it like you're watching a sports game on TV. You're like, oh.
Yeah, I remember one time I had of course I had old vintage cards, hockey cards. I'm from Canada, so
Oh yeah.
that explains that.
Yeah.
But, if they were in really, really nice shape and people wanted them for their set, they'd pay just about anything. I remember I got like $70, $80 for a $2 card once, just because it was perfectly centered and the corners were all sharp and everything. And, I'm watching it. And yes, it's just, and then it's going up in the last few seconds, and it's just like, yeah, it becomes kind of addictive.
It does, very, especially when I would buy things I didn't know what they were. I bought something at a thrift store, and when I Googled it, it was a ice scape sharpener, and I paid 60 cents for it, and I got like $100 or something for it.
Oh my God. Well, that's even better than my hockey card.
Well, yeah, I'm very intuitive. So I would just go places you know, this is when we only had a Palm Pilot, and I would guess, or like guess what's going to be making me a lot of money, and just follow that. So, but like I said, I was too good at it, and I had a very codependent nature. So I had a lot of people around me who I floated financially, supported them in their, you know, their shit. And that became my downfall, and had people embezzling money, you know, that I let into my company and stuff like that. But anyways,
So,
all of it.
so what, sorry. So what made you get away from that? Just because you realized it wasn't all that important, or because people were taking advantage of you, or?
Yeah, I mean, I literally got a call from the fraud department with our shipper who said, you have 18 open accounts that haven't been paid on to the tune of $80,000. And then I went down and got on the computers in the shipping room, and, you know, like basically found out, because I had been able to retire my husband, and he had been a truck driver, and found out that he had been cheating on me. He didn't even try to take the screen down where he was, you know, chatting with this woman that he met in Colorado, you know, when he went out there to buy auctions. And my brother knew about it, and he was involved in it. And like, he had embezzled all this money. And because I was wondering, like, how did my brother afford to refurnish his whole house and put in all new wood floors and new furniture and all this stuff. And his kids were in $700 a month dance classes and stuff. And I'm like, I don't understand, because we had just merged our companies, and you know, when you merge, it's kind of like starting over, and you can't just be spending all the money right then. And that's what he was doing, he was spending all the money, and that's what he was doing. He opened like 18 different shipping accounts, and they were in the name of the company, but they like their names were, the account names were like in the names of my kids, my pets, his kids' names, his pets, like their cousins. Like it was like,
So then
oh
you
my
just
God.
closed everything down?
Yeah, I went and filed for bankruptcy and divorce at the same time. And that was like 17 years ago.
Wow. You know, I knew this East Indian fella. He was a Sikh guy, and I called him the Orange Man. He used to wear all orange clothes, and usually an orange turban and whatever. And my favorite color is orange. So, and he was a very wonderful kind of guy. And he told me that his grandfather told him that he was only truly happy when he gave everything away. He didn't have anything, and he found complete happiness.
Yeah.
So money is kind of a lie, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't.
It's all made up.
Yeah.
It's about control too. So can you
And
feel
there's a flip side to it too. If we're taught that money is a big deal, right?
Mhm.
And like I said, I'm the richest man in the universe. I own all the money, right? But
Yeah.
in order to be poor, you have to, you know, you have to convince yourself that you're not rich.
Mhm.
And then we walk around saying, I'm not rich. I need more money. I need more money. I want to do this. I want to do that. And you have to convince yourself first that you don't own anything in the universe. You're complete poverty. And then you know what I'm saying? It's like this whole mind game you got to do. It's the same thing with beauty, same thing with peace of mind, same thing with everything. You know, and it goes back to that God barrier. If you're not God, right, you have to convince yourself you're not God, that you're a sinner, that you're a servant, and that you're a slave to God or something like that. You got to convince yourself that, and then you got to work your way back up to God. It's just like a little rain dance, and none of it's real. You start off with being God to begin with, or being rich to begin with, or being happy to begin with, you know.
Yeah.
Happiness is not something you got to work for. It's just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good way of putting it, Beans. You're absolutely right. You know.
Yeah.
So tell us some of your interesting. Does Sonny Boy just talk to you, or have you had like, I know encounters sound so like dumbing it down or whatever, but have you had any a lot of physical encounters with him when you've, or is it basically just a mind speak kind of relationship, other than the first couple times?
It's both. So like this week, I'll show you. This was I don't know if you can see that very well, but
I can see it. Yeah.
yeah, it's in the shape of a dog leg. When I picked it up, that's why I picked it up. I'm like, huh, this is it. He, gave me the image of a dog leg, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is one of those glyphs or signs or messages or whatever. So I shoved it in my backpack, took it home. And then a week later, which was last week, I went to the doctor to get ultrasounds done on my blood veins in my legs. And because they told me I have a circulatory, like a blood vessel disease, that I'm going to have, surgery to fix it. And after the ultrasound, when I went in to get the results, the doctor's reading them. She says, "Oh, you don't need to have surgery. We can fix this. It's basically like a birth defect, and it's the map of the blood veins is irregular, and it went into this pattern which they call dog leg."
There you go.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, I get that.
Yeah, and
They're,
so
they're very direct in how they teach us or whatever, right?
right, and because I was like, God, I hadn't seen him in a while in the woods. I haven't, really since Father's Day. That's the last time I physically saw him.
Describe
But
them to us. Describe them to us.
She did. He's 5 foot tall.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but that's just no. I mean,
He's
what
about my
what
height.
did he look like? What color was his hair? What did his face look like? What was
He's
his
red.
build?
He's like reddish brown, but more red. Yeah, and he's
Human?
not huh?
Human looking?
No. He's more like, I didn't see his face good. His face was down like this, so I didn't even look into his eyes. It's like he was standing with his back against this tree. But yeah, so after I went to that doctor appointment, I had another appointment. And in that office, all the walls were glass, and they the scene on the other side of the glass is like these little mini set of woods, because we're like inside the city limits. And so I'm sitting there at this appointment and thinking about these results, the dog leg, and I'm like, wow, he's just so plugged in. Like, this is so strange, And as I'm thinking that, I see this, it's the shape of legs walking through the woods, like a two-legged person, a bipedal or whatever, and it's watery looking, it's clear glass looking, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so
it's
that's how I
like the predator cloaking.
You're talking predator like looking, right? Like shimmery, watery, but with a semi-transparent shape.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've seen that.
I don't know if I've seen Predator. I'm trying to remember, but
Well, you're describing it perfectly.
Yeah.
okay.
I saw them walking around me one time in that shape, and you can kind of see their outline, and it looks watery and shimmery. Their insides, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you had that
Yeah.
experience.
So now I'm just getting used to.
What's that?
All right. I'm getting used to seeing them walking around now like that. So it's
And
not,
you had
it's
that
not
experience.
freaking me out.
You had that experience on the bicycle where you said a shimmery shell came over you to protect you, and did something in your head say this is for protection?
It said, the voice said, "I'm protecting you."
So there was that could have been him too, or something else, but most
Yeah.
likely it was him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to blame everything on the Bigfoot, because there's other nature spirits in there.
Yeah.
Like Sonny's talked to me about the fairy realm that's in there, and I saw like the city of God in this tree as I was riding past it. And I'm like, God, I wanted to go back and find that tree and that little, it was so cute. This little city of God inside this tree, but it's just, I can't, if it's there, I can't see it anymore.
Why did you say it was a city of God, and why did it look like a city of God? Or was it just a feeling?
Yeah, it was like when I saw it like that, I thought that's the city of God.
Oh,
And I never would have thought that the city of God is in the fairy realm, you know, but it's like,
well, I think the city of God is anywhere, isn't it?
I saw it in the tree. So yeah, I mean, I've seen another city that was like a UFO city, and it came down while I was driving 80 miles an hour down the highway in a snowstorm. This city came down, and like, wow, it blew my mind.
Okay, give us some more detail on that.
Well, it was after my near-death experience where like I had been a Mormon, and then the very next day I woke up and I wasn't a Mormon anymore. And so like I went to visit my in-laws, and my father-in-law was like, he was in the bishopric in the Mormon church. So he was yelling at me and he's telling me like, you're dragging your kids down to hell with you. And I started crying. I was like, it was so upsetting. And so I left there and I'm driving home, and I'm starting to play this fear. Like, am I delusional, or is there something wrong with me? Have I had a mental breakdown that I just need to get my ass back into this church and get in line with the program? And as I'm thinking this and just like feeling sad, the whole road in front of me just went away, and I saw this huge city, and it was like blue, and it was shimmering like it was made out of gems and jewels kind of. And the communication from me to this place was, this is where your mind is at. This is where you're taking your children. Don't worry about his fucking opinion. This is So, and I just started sobbing, and my kids were like, Mom, are you okay? And I'm like, but it was just tears of relief, because I would never want to harm my children. Like, I would never want to take them down a path that was leading them to hell.
What a beautiful answer. So were the buildings like transparent and glass-like or something, or?
Just very shimmery, like they were crystals. I couldn't see through them, but they were like, almost like opalescent in a blue. Like, I call it the blue city.
I'm just trying to think of it similar to what I
Remember that blue fairy? That one of our guests showed us a picture of a blue fairy.
Yeah,
that was pretty amazing. A 3-foot tall blue fairy. We had a picture of it.
Yeah,
I wanted to say something about the UFO thing. You said it was like a UFO kind of city in the sky or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to some other people on messages and stuff, and they were talking about the Sasquatch are excited. And then they found out that the Sasquatch are excited because the ships are coming. Now, I don't know when that's going to happen, right? And I thought, well, that's really cool. The ships are coming, because we've been, my whole thing is there's a really big Sasquatch and UFO connection. They're partners. They're helping humanity at the same ways. And so I went out for my little smoke last night, right? And I walked down the street about 2 houses down, and I just happened to look down, and I saw this interesting stick glyphs. Sometimes they leave me stick glyphs on the street.
Yeah.
I saw this really interesting stick glyph, and you know how you have like a Y stick glyph that looks like a Y. Well, this one was like a T that was like it was like almost a straight part of a branch, and then another part of the branch went straight up off of it. So it was like, from my perspective, it was a stick pointing up, and I thought, that's really interesting. I wonder what that means, because you got to feel it out for yourself what it means. But right next to that stick glyph, about this far away, was like the the lid of a drink. When you have like the lid that goes on a drink. And I thought, That's a flying saucer. It's like the flying saucer and the stickless is to look up. And there's a flying saucer there. And then because the day before they were talking about that in the messages and stuff, that the Sasquatch are excited, and then there was my stick. So and that's completely tuned in, you know what I mean? Just like you're saying. And
Yeah.
Brian's has hundreds and hundreds of stories like that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I get
that's
that.
how it works.
Yeah. So,
Well, I wonder if we have these spacecraft seem to be living beings, and I wonder if we have incarnations in these spacecraft bodies. Do you know what I mean? Like some of these that are going to be showing up might be living craft that are other incarnations of ourselves that are coming as
yeah.
another level of awakening us. This.
Yeah, a lot of people that go on these crafts have said that they feel like they're living, like they're alive.
Yeah,
Yeah, the craft itself is an incarnation.
yeah. Like because I have like for a long time, for years, I've wondered if there's incarnations of myself out there. How many of those are like Christ masters? So I started asking, like, well, if you're out there, you know, I would appreciate you showing up and assisting me on mine, you know, because I'm here to master this, you know, experience. And so they've been showing up, and that's, you know, what Sonny's mom, he's telling me, is one of these masters. And that's where I was taken in that snow cave, is a cave in Tibet. And I had about 10 years of extreme like sadness and melancholy about Tibet when I first read the life and teachings of the masters of the Far East by Baird T. Spalding. And you know, it's basically about some like 3 scientists who go to Tibet in the 1800s to investigate and do experiments with these masters that live there. And I was just like, every night I had to listen to this audio book version of it, so I would feel like I had a piece of that with me, because I felt like part of me was there, like. And so this lasted for about 10 years, and then I had a neighbor who we became really close while his mom was dying, and he had to move away. We were never going to see each other again, and he came to my apartment, and he brought me this statue, and it's from Tibet. His sister was a Mormon missionary, and she was over there and went to this temple in Tibet and stole that statue and smuggled it back to the country. And my neighbor told me, he said, I felt so guilty that she gave me this statue, and I feel like I'm giving it back to where it belongs by giving it to you.
Beautiful.
And that was like to remember him by when he moved away, and I never have seen him again. But so Sonny was telling me.
It's interesting you talk about Tibet, because that's one of the visions that I've been given by the Sasquatch people. They showed me one time about when we had these natural disasters, and then all culture and all the people got wiped out and had to build it back up again. They showed me that the shamans, the shamans who are the American Indian shamans, and shamans anywhere in the world, they go on a vision quest. They always go to a mountain, and they go up, and they put their life on the line. It's like, I'm going to have a vision or I'm going to die here, right? Mm-hmm. But then they showed me in Peru, it happens in Peru and South America. All the shamans were initiated on these mountaintops, and then they showed me that the Hindus, right, the gurus, the sadhus in India, they had holy mountains and holy caves, and they would go up there. And what the Sasquatch was showing me is they were always in the mountains like that, doing these shamanic journeys, because the Sasquatch were relighting the light of humanity relighting the enlightened people, you know, and they're keeping that light alive in humanity, so that that when the guru wanted to become enlightened, then they would have a master Sasquatch would come and raise their vibration and turn on that light, and then the guru can go along and enlighten all the followers. And
Yeah.
they said they've been doing that for a long time. So that there's a real connection with the holiness of humanity and the
Mhm.
Sasquatch people. And I'm
Mhm.
sure not all of them are like these high holy beings, but some of them are.
Some of them are.
They're the ones who initiate, enlightenment and keep the actual light of life going.
I'm sure all the ones we're connected with are that ill. So
Oh, yeah.
let me ask you something. I wanted to go back. So you said you were in that cave for 4 days. Was it literally 4 days, or did it just feel like 4 days?
No, like I knew I had been there for 4 days because I knew what day I was arrested, and I knew what day it was when I was suddenly aware of being back.
Okay, so I want to ask you a couple of questions on that then. So did you observe the Yeti in their daily lives kind of thing? What were they doing in those 4 days? What did you experience?
I wish I could remember. The only image I have is this snow cave. Looked like it was carved out of ice. It was beautiful. And I remember that like the first one I saw was male, but I know that there was more of them in there. And I remember there being some place to lay down. And then when I have been in meditations, I go into this place where I'm on a mountaintop, like way high, really high. And like, I'm just sitting there and there's not a lot of space there. And I'm like in this like yogi kind of like cross-legged position. And I'm just sitting there and I know it's her. I know it's the master, the master mother, Yeti, But and I could even feel like the cold air on my skin, but it doesn't bother me. Like I'm not cold in that space. But yeah, I would like to get more. I would like to get another hypnotherapy session on this specifically. See what comes up, but I haven't done it yet.
So when you woke up, or when you came back from that 4 days, were you still in jail?
Oh yeah. I was actually in court. When I came out of it, I was actually in court getting cavity searched to go in and get sentenced.
Oh my God. So you were actually interacting in your world outside of that cave, but unaware.
Yeah. I was like, how did I get in court? Like
What
I
were you
just
charged with? Drug possession or something, or trafficking or something?
Well, my little business there in high school was like stealing alcohol and selling it out of my locker at school.
Awesome. You were an entrepreneur, right? You did, eh?
I told you. And so after I did that, got in trouble for that, I turned to counterfeiting city bus passes. But with the copy machine at the library using cardstock and a laminator. So yeah, so my boyfriend thought he was gonna get in trouble. He thought he was being watched by the police, so he put like all his like M80s and firecrackers and stuff, he put it in my locker. On top of having me hold his LSD for him, he put stuff in my locker. And when I had closed, or when he or one of us closed that locker, one of the bottles of alcohol like got broken, and it went all over the floor in the gymnasium, like locker room. And so of course they came and opened up my locker and searched it and found all this stuff in there. So I got felony charges for the illegal fireworks. And if I had had that LSD on me, I would have been in there for 5 years. And I was 16, 15, 16, somewhere in there. So,
Were you high as a kite when you got arrested?
No,
no,
you,
that's,
you felt normal, right?
yeah, I felt normal. Yeah.
Well,
like
I mean, you just
remember-
ate a whole bunch of LSD and nothing happened.
Nothing happened. I just went straight from the sheriff department into that cave.
So that what? Well, that's a transcendental experience. But I mean, you didn't have any symptoms of being high before that.
Well, she said I went through the washer though too. So maybe
Yes, maybe it washed out.
Well, some of it did. Yeah, you know.
Or maybe there's a new thing where you can mix LSD and
soap detergent.
soap detergent, and then
don't
somehow
start
that
a
just
fad.
so then that shoots you off into Tibet. That
Yeah, if anybody wants to go to a nice cave in Tibet, just get a big whatever bunch of LSD, wash it in soap, and eat it, and then away you go.
Oh man.
Hey, so obviously your life has been amazing, and you've had so many and you're a warrior and so many experiences. You know, leading up to when you met your little fellow. And I know it hasn't been that long, but we always ask everybody this: how has your life changed since you were introduced to Sasquatch on a conscious level? Because I think you've been subconsciously connected to them for forever, but on a conscious level, how has your life changed?
Well, I'm plugged into the true reality.
Isn't that true?
You know,
That's so true.
I
Yeah.
wasn't before. I really wasn't. And I mean, I after everything I've been through, when the Bigfoot showed up, I was like, really, Tina? Bigfoot? You know, like why couldn't I just have something normal like an angel or something come teach me? Or and I started to think, just because it's a Bigfoot doesn't mean that there's something wrong with a master and a teacher coming in this form. Like I knew this was ego trying to shut it down, because I kept questioning, is this really happening? Is this really going on? And finally I made the decision just to put myself out there in a Bigfoot group and post what happened. And I mean, I got death threats. I got one guy describing how he'd like to burn me or skin me and burn me.
In a Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, there's so many. Yeah.
There's some people that hate me in there, but anyways.
Well, a lot of Sasquatch people, they call themselves Bigfoot or Sasquatch believers, but what they all really believe in is just some monkey, some mountain ape or whatever, walking across the street, and they'll leave footprints, and that's as far as they want to go with it. So
yeah,
they're
yeah.
And anything else is kind of like, how dare you?
Yeah. And then, but there were a few people that were like talking to me and telling me, you're not the only one. Other people are having this experience of a Sasquatch. And so then I apologized to Sonny and his mom, and I was like, like I was kind of being a spoiled brat. And Sonny actually took me, I don't know if it was like a near-death experience or astral travel, but he took me after I'd gone to sleep, and like he and I were like levitated in front of this huge TV screen, and my soul clan, like I could see all the faces of them in this huge screen. And it was like a near-death experience, because all that deep love and connection was going back and forth between us. It was very, very joyful. So I don't think that I think that they understand where I'm coming from with so much ego and being taught the wrong way to be here in this world. Like they're very forgiving of how clumsy I am as a human being.
Well, they're not about judgment, because they realize that we're all on a soul journey and soul lessons. So they can't judge us, because we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, right? So
Exactly.
I just wanted you to clarify. So, and now I forgot the word I had because you said it, but you said that they taught you the real reality. That's not how I said it, but they taught you didn't believe in what you know now before. So what is the real reality to you that they taught you? Is that the right word, reality?
Yeah, in our divine nature, like we're like love is an advanced technology and perfecting,
Woo!
you know.
You got that right.
Oh, you got that's the first word I ever
Sasquatch-
heard out of you on
The
130.
Sasquatch say, find your heart, get in your heart, and stay in your heart, and that's the reality. Yeah.
You know that, Tina? He's
Huh.
never given any guess or woo ever. In about 200 or 300 more than that, 400 or 500 hours of show, he's never ever done that. You've ignited something in Mr. Beans.
Well, you know, we've had people on the show that are admitted to weeping out loud with the joy from their heart, the experience they have. When you got 4, 5, 6 different men and women, you know, that's a profoundly different view of the Sasquatch people. Is to be able to be so full of love that all you can do is either laugh or cry because it's just too ecstatic.
Isn't
Yeah.
that ridiculous that you would get death threats from this Bigfoot believers group? Like, what in the why? It just doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense because you were going against what the professionals know, kind of thing. Which is, I'm saying, tongue in cheek.
Well, he claimed to be an indigenous person, and so some of the things that I seem to have understood from Sonny about some of the lower vibrational Yeti or Sasquatch who have had violent clashes with humans, like they have witnessed us genocide the indigenous people here, and many of whom were like friendly with the Bigfoot people. So there's that. And so this person on Facebook was claiming to be an indigenous person and was outraged that I would say something like that, and then described how he'd like to murder me and burn me. But
Well, what exactly what were your points that you were making that he was so opposed to?
I don't know.
Like their abilities and stuff, like, or what?
That it's a loving relationship between me and them, and that they're advanced.
That doesn't sound like an indigenous person who knows anything about Sasquatch to me. Because the
No, but
Sasquatch people know that.
there are tribes out there who have never had a good interaction, and they've been taught fear for generation after generation.
Yeah.
And then that they're actually at war with the Sasquatch people. They would try to go and kill the Sasquatch people, or the Sasquatch people would abduct or kill, and that was going on. But that's not the whole. I mean, that's a few tribes out of 500 tribes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and
Go ahead.
there's other bipedal beings that have been wiped out by the Sasquatch people here, or the Native American people here. The Native Americans in southern Utah, they don't even let their kids out after dark. But there was these 2 feet tall little creatures there with razor sharp teeth that had killed and eaten their children of the Native Americans and like attacked their women and stuff like that. So they wiped that civilization out, and I know that they exist because my friend found a fossilized foot that belonged to one of these little creatures, and he was on the Art Bell show talking about all this stuff that he would find out in the desert, and that was one of the things. So yeah, there's wars between different species going on here too, not just between humans and Sasquatch, but Sasquatch and other species, and Native Americans and other species.
So I think we cut you off a little bit.
Okay.
As far as what you were saying about what your understanding is now that you've had a relationship with Sasquatch. So things you didn't know before, you only mentioned, I think, one part. So how have they changed your view of the universe or collective or the big picture, I guess.
Well, in a personal way that I can
Right.
create, I am the creator here. I am the god of Tina's universe. Like and playing make believe is part of the fun of it. Like, that's one of the first things Sunny asked me to do, was to play make believe in creating this reality, and so that's what I've been doing. And at first it was like, I don't, why am I bothering with this? This is too grand of a vision. And then after a while, it was like I wasn't happy with that belief. And I wanted to believe that if I just played make believe of some really awesome things, they would, manifest in my life. And so that's all he didn't say this is going to happen, but he gave me an idea of a vision. And basically it's like the Bigfoot wild and free nature preserve. And it would be like a resort with treehouse and yurt rentals and a water slide that goes into a mud pit, so we can have fun, earthing and having fun with the earth. And a sweat lodge and an outdoor theater and place to dance and do storytelling and drum circle on Sunday. And outdoor massage and things like this, zip lines, mountain bike trails. And I actually started having feelings for this place before I ever saw Sunny, before I even knew, like there was a Bigfoot in my life. And like I met this guy and we kind of had this attraction. And so we went to hang out. And as soon as we were like hanging out, he started talking about that same property and how he wanted to buy it and save it because it's fully wooded. And what these people here in East Texas do is they buy these huge lots and then they cut everything down on them and they sell it all. And like, so he wanted to save it. And while he's describing, his plans for this land, I started getting angry inside of myself and my eyes were bugging out and I wanted to scream at him, "You liar," but I didn't know why I was feeling this way. Like I never saw him again. I did not want to experience that feeling again. And after I met the Bigfoot, people that, Sonny's talking to me and he's like, "That's because you're going to buy that. That's where you're going to put it's 106 acres. And he's like, this is where you're going to build this resort." And I'm like, okay, if I have these resources, I'm not aware of it yet, but he's basically telling me your resources, your imagination, your ability to play make believe. And, not just that, but go back past the physicality of it to what are you getting out of owning this resort? Well, the joy of being able to walk out into nature, into the woods every day and share Bigfoot and make a space for the Bigfoot people. If they want to be in the woods, there's going to be part of those woods that nobody's ever going in. Those are off limits, and a place for the fairy realm to be, in a place where there's not going to be anybody coming on that land with guns to kill anything there.
That's amazing. There's one of our friends, Cindy Carter, right?
Okay. Yeah.
She's out in North Carolina, I think. And some people have had that vision, and they actually bought some land with Sasquatch on it, and they don't really know what to do with it. They were just given this vision. So
Yeah.
maybe that's going to be what Sasquatch is going to do: inspire humans to start buying land and making Sasquatch parks or fairy parks or whatever they are. Well, that's pretty cool. You're getting that vision. She's getting that vision. She's already going up there, and their idea was to keep it all natural and all rustic camping with no no amenities. Amenities would have to go down the trail or something. So that's interesting. Interesting stuff. There's a vision there. And maybe it's a Sasquatch vision for all we know.
When you going up there, Beans? Aren't you going up there?
To go visit her?
Yeah.
No, but I have a friend of mine who lives in what's the name of that place? Anyway, she lives in North Carolina. I tried to hook those two guys up so they could go and go up to the mountain and hang out.
Yeah. Well, my wife wants me to go and meet her today, so should we wrap things up? It's gone on for 3 hours.
And the other thing I want to say is this Kelly Rainbow Butterfly. She had did this the Sasquatch get-togethers or at the big conference, and that was all promoted by the Sasquatch. The Sasquatch told her what to do and find a place, and they found the place for her, and like Sasquatch from all over the world showed up there. So these kind of convention centers things, they're doing stuff like that. So I just wanted to say that to support you.
They also like people who are friends of Sasquatch gathering or whatever. There seems to be way more activity when a bunch of us get together. It really amps up.
Yeah.
So there's something to that. So do you want to say anything, wrap up with saying anything? Anything from your heart, or?
Just I would suggest that everybody open yourselves up, to possibilities that are infinite. And we are seeing the blueprints of the dark side manifest right now. It doesn't always have to be this way. We can look out our front window and see heaven on earth, like right now. And there is going to be power in gathering other people with the same vision. Why wouldn't there be? You have a bunch of people focusing on this intention and a bunch of people focusing on bringing heaven on earth here. It's going to happen. We're doing it. We're all finding each other. It's not a coincidence. It's like, that's another thing that the Bigfoot people do. They are masters at synchronization.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's no such thing as coincidence with them. And as far as my rant or whatever today, I think it's better to, like I said, not put your feelings into it, but we still have to make people aware, because awareness dissolves the fear. And when they don't have the fear, then all things are possible. So making people aware is important, but throwing out hate and venom and whatever is actually just buying into what they're doing. So
yeah, it's just the ego's reality.
Yeah. But awareness and getting over fear is one thing, and then we're powerful.
Yeah.
Then we can create that beautiful reality.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for being on the show. You were wonderful. I was looking.
Okay, thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, and the other thing is because you're so new in your journey, because you're such an interesting guest, we quite often have panel shows. So we want to have you back, and if few months from now or 6 months from now or something, you have a bunch more things to share, we'll have you back on. So be open to that. We certainly would be. And yeah, we really appreciate you on. We really appreciate you on. It was a really good show.
I had a blast.
Yeah. Okay, so on behalf of Port Cunningham and the world's handsomest man, the guru of love, Frank Oliver Baines, this has been the Pork and Beans Show. Love to everybody. Get yourself aware and get over that fear, and let's create our perfect garden on this earth.
I'm giving everybody my blessing. I'm a saint now. I'm the Saint Michael, giving everybody a blessing. Do what you will, but do no harm. That's my end.
Yeah. Thank you, Tina. We shall see you next time.
All right. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
I love you slow, don't you know? I want the old blade. All the buttons coming down, taking my phone. Hot it high, hot it high, hot it high. For the tummy, oh my, love a big old plate of pork and beef. Goody, 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 goody. Love it, love it, love it. In the tummy. Love baby, love hard. Love ooh, love why. I love me some bowling wine. Don't you know you gotta need that feed. You got to have some pork and beer. Pork and beer. I'm gonna holler, yo, mashed potato, oh, have it now, don't wait for later, by the time, oh, why, you only need a place to look for, come get your help, come see,